Shall we?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Round Table, Episode 3, the Snyder Cut Round Tables. Here we have some amazing guests. This is right after, of course, the big announcement. First, we've got Paula, who recently got involved with the Spanish branch of the movement. Welcome, Paula.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for doing this tonight. We also have Gio, who was on the New York Comic Con ground crew.
What's up, everybody? Big day today, and just happy to be here.
Very, very busy day for all of us. And also, we've got Haruko, who was inspired by the great Fiona. How are you?
Ancha, everybody. Hope everyone's doing good. like they both said, it's a big day, so I hope it's all smiles on everyone's end, and fortunate to be here.
Tons of positivity out there everywhere you look, especially in our neck of the woods. But we've got the big question that I'm going to ask all three of you. It's coming. How does it feel?
Woo! Yay! Finally.
Everyone, we did this. We all did this together. Like, that is crazy. We with a couple of tweets. Well, not a couple. A lot of tweets. Yeah, exactly.
So many tweets. We had the announcement via the Zack Snyder Man of Steel commentary through Vero. I want to know your thoughts. We're going to start off with Haruko. What were your thoughts on the Man of Steel commentary and the huge announcement?
Well, as far as the commentary goes, I've been waiting since forever to hear the definitive Man of Steel director's commentary, because we've gotten Zack interviewing. He's answered some things in interviews here and there, but it was just really good to see him watching it along with it, because it felt like Zack was in our living room. It felt like he was in our living room watching the movie with us. So I really enjoyed that aspect, and of course how he showed off the storyboards and the way he does the director's commentary is it's Zack Snyder style. It's innovative because you also have to be looking at the screen to see the storyboards and see exactly how he put it together. Some of the storyboards he colored in. It was just an amazing experience. And then Henry Cavill coming in at the end. I gotta admit, I kind of marked out a little bit when Henry Cavill came in. I'm like, man. But I thought the commentary just perfect. So much insight on things like Kara, and that Feora may be coming back in the Phantom Zone, which I speculated beforehand, but it just felt so much better getting sort of confirmation on it. As for the big announcement with everybody coming in, I think it was amazing that Zack was able to get a lot of fans, that have supported him along the way into the Zoom meeting, have them all ask questions, and that they could be there to witness that historic moment. The moment it was announced with Henry, Zack, and Deborah. Just absolutely amazing by Zack. I got to give it up to the guy. That's the best. That's probably the best way he could have did it, because if you think about it, we're the ones that started it, so we should be the ones at the end of it. It shouldn't be just Warner Brothers just tweeting something out. There has to be some kind of complimentary. I don't know how to say it, but just something involving us, in it. So I think it was perfect to have the cut come with a whole watch along with Zack, with fans, everybody who was there at the start, everybody who was there at the end, because this, at the end of the day, this is a grassroots movement, and we built this up together. So props to Zack. I loved it. Great commentary, great ending. The most fitting ending to the last 3 years. So.
Absolutely. No one does it like Zack as far as getting the fans involved and the crew as well. They've been amazing on social media. How about you, Paula? What were your thoughts on the Man of Steel commentary and the big announcement?
Well, so I watched the BBS commentary, and I loved it. So when Man of Steel comments was announced, I said, great, let's go again. So since I'm managing the Spanish branch account, I say, okay, let's take notes. So then I can make some tweets and some content, especially for people, for Spanish speaking people. So I started, and then I stopped. I just listened to him and watched the movie, and let just got inside the movie and in the comments. So there are no notes to to be taken then. And I noticed that the same happened to him. At times he just stopped and stared at the movie. And so that's it doesn't matter how old the movie is. You still stare at it in awe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There have been rumors about an announcement, so I was kind of expecting them. But then it's like, oh, so many fun questions. So maybe there was just a rumor, and when he showed the image, the black and white picture, I almost screamed. I was alone here, so I couldn't do anything like shout at my dogs. I don't know, but it was so I was shaking and laughing and crying, and it was an amazing experience. The feeling, the accomplish of something so many people got together to ask for at a huge corporate for whom we are nothing, like, you know, big enterprises were just numbers and consumers. So to stand people from all over the world, people that not all of them know each other, not all of them share every thought, and yet being able to accomplish that, that is so huge that I don't think none of us are wide aware of what we've just accomplished. You know, it's like it is much bigger than what we think. So I'm in awe.
Yeah, this will definitely have a big ripple effect moving forward with not just Warner Brothers, but with more films in the future. And how about you, Gio? What'd you think of the whole event, the commentary, and the announcement?
Yeah, so I was talking to you guys ahead of this. I didn't catch a lot of the commentary. I'm very fortunate right now to be working, but it was on at like 8 a.m. My time, and just things that I had. There was things that I had to do at that time, so I was in and out. But I can speak about like the build up to this. So yesterday, I did a podcast with Peely, Mr. West Ashley, the Go Deep podcast, and Sean O'Connell, and he was telling us sort of like how the rumors were coming about, and you guys can listen to it. It was pretty good. It was pretty fun. And I swear we did not know at that time, like everything that you guys heard on the podcast was everything that Sean told us and everything that Sean knew too. And I totally believe him. So this definitely, like, I was talking to Peely after the podcast and before the podcast, like this just felt different building up to it. Like we've had moments here and there where we thought something was going to happen. We heard rumors something was going to happen. But of course, with like the movie scoop game, you never know like what's actually real or not. And hearing it from Sean definitely like gave it a little bit more level of like professionalism, and like I believe a lot of what he was saying. So there was definitely, it just felt different. I was able to catch the announcement, and I was speechless. Like just listening to the whole thing, and it was. I feel bad almost, and I have to go back and listen to it because the whole time I'm seeing everyone there. It's like seeing all these people that, we've been tweeting along with and doing events with, people that like I've seen tweeting the hashtag for like the whole 2.5 years, seeing people that just came aboard like a few months ago or anything like just seeing everyone together on that screen with Zach, with Henry, with Debbie, and like the way that they built it up. I'm like, wait, is this, because like if you guys saw it, they didn't like, they kind of like beat around the bush for a little bit, and we're like, oh man, it's not gonna actually happen again. Like, well, you know what, it's good to see Henry and it's good to see Zach together again, because Henry wasn't able to tweet at the time when we did November 17th event. He wasn't able to tweet at that time. He was pushing Wisher, totally get it. And it was just great to see them together on screen, great to see them together for the watch party. And like, I was like, all right, you know what? It's fine. Like, this is just good. It's a good event. Like, see Zach with his fans. And then the question went out, and like, I was speechless. Like, it took me like a good like 2 hours to be able to even tweet anything afterwards, and like to even like accept that it was real. But like I said at the beginning of this, we all did this. Like, every single little thing that we did along the way, be it one tweet, be it just like reading an article about it, even the people that were like hating on this, like, they helped build this up to what it was, and they helped motivate us to like where we got to, and they helped really create everything that this movement is about. So thank you to everyone.
Absolutely. It still feels like a dream, and it's the proof that it absolutely works. The next question I have for each of you is, what does artistic integrity mean to you, and what does the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League set for future artists? What kind of example does that set? And we're going to throw it right back to Gio on this one.
Sure. This is a great question, because this is something that we covered yesterday, and we were like talking about, so what does the future now mean across Hollywood? Like, we're in a moment right now where with COVID-19 and everything going on, like, the theater world is completely like, you know, in a completely different place. We already were in a completely different place with streaming services coming together. And now we have this example of fans coming together and saying, look, we want to see films that are what a creator put together. We don't want to see these films that are like marketing for whatever you want, or trying to show us like something that a couple of executives think we want to see. We want to see like someone's artistic vision, and that's what a film is. So I think that we really, really made a statement today across the board. Like, already before this happened, before the announcement was made, other fandoms were like sort of following in our steps. Like, shout out to the Alita, the what do they call Alita Army? Like, love those guys. Like, they're fighting for their movie as well. Like, even when Star Wars came out, there was like release the. I think they actually said release the Snyder Cut at one point, but like, you know what they meant. Like, it's because release the Snyder Cut has now means in like the dictionary, and like, it means give us someone's actual movie, and that's amazing. As a fan of film, like, you can see my wide stack of films that I have here. Like, I think that we're gonna get back to a place where we're gonna be seeing the films that I grew up with a lot in the 90s, like, these wild like independent movies of just like creators just trying to like show whatever's going on in their mind, and people coming together to do a project together. So I think it's awesome. Like, I think before this moment, I had a lot of sort of like, I wasn't sure where film was going to go. Like, when you think about what films that have been coming out lately, like, studios don't really want to invest in movies that they don't think will make money. And what that ends up meaning is that they don't want to invest in movies that the executives don't think will return to them. So they end up becoming decisions of like a bunch of people, and that takes away from the creative freedom there. And I think at this point, they're going to realize, no, that's not what makes money. Like, what makes money is seeing someone's vision, that the people that actually want to see film are eventually the people that are going to drive the film, not, just the random people and the random toys that they sell.
I agree. Definitely gives us a lot of hope, and huge props as well to AT&T and Warner Brothers for making that decision and working with Zach and the rest of the crew and with all of us to see this happen. How about you, Haruko? What does artistic integrity mean to you, and what does this mean for the future?
Artistic integrity is it's the freedom to it's basically, you want to write a movie. It's just sitting down, doing something, getting it done, and not having to worry about all these suits just digging into your work, all these suits muddying everything you do, all this whole committee of producers and executives and people saying what you can and can't do. Really, if you want to do something, write it, shoot it, put it out there. Anything, draw it, write it, sing it, whatever, put it out there without the worry of, at least okay, maybe it does fail. Maybe it does flop. Maybe it doesn't resonate with people, but you can never know unless you try, unless you put it out there for the world to see, for the world to judge. And, our artistic integrity, it's sort of spiritual too, because, would you rather throw something out there that's already been like in a machine, in a corporate machine? Oh, we're going to make the movie for these people, for this people, for this people? Or would you rather, put it out there, something that you made personally, that's close to your heart, that you made from scratch, that you created basically, and, have the world judge it, because at least they know that it's you speaking through your art. And that's just always been a big thing to me, speaking through art, because I myself am a writer. So, when I write things, obviously I'm not submitting them to these large, film studios.
One day, man.
Mostly my friends. But, so yeah, I mean, just imagine one of my friends was like, "Oh no, this is awful." And they just started editing everything, and they edited it to the point where you could not identify that as being my work anymore. And that's how I felt watching Justice League on the theatrical version. I was so excited to watch the conclusion to the trilogy that started with Man of Steel. And when I came out to see it didn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie. It felt like it was like, yeah, it felt a little bit like Josh Whedon movie, but it felt like it was, what does Zack say? Made by committee movie, as he put it. It didn't feel like his art. It didn't feel like, Zack Snyder was speaking to us. There was no mythological or religious or socio-political subtext. There was none of that. And it was more straightforward, more like Avengers kind of, more like a made-for-TV kind of movie. And I think that, the Snyder Cut coming out, to answer the second question, it changes the entire game, because the popular thing is that petitions don't work. Everybody says that petitions don't work. Tweets don't work. Hashtags don't work. Social outcry doesn't work. And we just proved that with dedication, it does work. And the reason that a lot of the other hashtags, a lot of the other movements fall short is because they buy into that thing. They buy into the stigma that, oh, well, a company will never listen to you just because you tweeted a hashtag. We went the extra mile because, it was more than just a hashtag, kind of because we had the billboards, we had the planes, we went to the events, we had, like Gio, we had people on the ground team. We did a lot to push this movement, over the edge and get the attention of Warner Brothers. And we've been on their radar for how many years? And then in November, everyone knows what happened in November. I don't have to go over that, but it's the dedication, and it sets a precedent that if you aren't afraid to attack the machine, you can win. You can beat the machine. You can beat the corporate machine. You can beat the executive. You can beat the bloggers. You can beat all the mouthpieces. You can do anything. I know it sounds like sentimental and cheesy, but if this doesn't prove anything is possible, what does? This just proves that anything is possible. We can get the Ayer cut. We can get, if we put our minds to it, and if we have as much dedication to anything as we did this, who knows? I personally, I think we change Hollywood. I think we change Hollywood for good, because I think it's gonna make a lot of studios realize that that really you can't it's not right, it's not ethically right to take somebody's work and muddy it. It's not right. And we saw how it was done with Josh Trank and David Ayer and all these other directors, and maybe in the future it won't be as well practiced, studio metal. So that's that. I think this changes all of Hollywood. This isn't just this isn't just the Snyder Cut comes out and it's over. This has a long lasting ripple effect, as you said before, throughout all of Hollywood. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it myself.
Man, that was awesome. As inspirational as the movement itself, I want to go fight Steppenwolf now. And how about you, Paula? What does artistic integrity mean to you?
Well, I think it's creative freedom. Is the freedom to create something and pour yourself in it, feelings, ideology, philosophy, your soul. So it's the core of the story you are telling, or the artistic thing you are creating, whether it's a painting, music, a movie, or a book. It's your identity as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that cannot be tampered with and cannot be butchered by executives or CEOs or bloggers or vocal minorities. So I think it's, as I said, it's the core of the art That's it. I think the releasing of the Snyder Cut, it's huge for the industry. Maybe could teach the studios to start listening to the fans instead of those vocal minorities or bloggers. And I think it defines a moment. I don't think things will be the same because just this it's David Ayer, it's Josh Trank, it's Kimberg with Dark Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many others in the past that have suffered the same. The social media has helped a lot, and our determination has helped a lot. But I think maybe studios will think twice before start messing up, especially when we are talking about such strong stories. I'm not talking about a remake, the third remake of a movie, or the movie number 10 in a franchise. I mean characters that mean so much to so many people, and directors with such a strong visual identity, you know. So I think it's a good thing for not only for Zach and for us, but for anyone who loves movies, and for any director and screenwriter to come also.
Absolutely. And with this Snyder Cut Roundtables, they've been highlighting the movement, all of us in and out there, and throughout these 3 years of pushing for the Snyder Cut, what has been the moment that's meant to you personally the most? And bringing it back to you, Paula.
Well, I think one of the moments, everything we've done was incredible and would make anyone proud. But one of the most shocking moments, I think, was the Subway campaign. Like, you have to retweet, I don't know how many times this, and you get a few sandwiches. And we went there and over, and they end up giving away more than they had promised. And you said, okay, yeah, retweet, tweet, but I think there are families eating because of that. It's huge. It's huge. I'm from Argentina. We have a lot of poverty here, and with the COVID and the crisis, it's even harder. So you see people hungry, you know, and the possibility of feeding people is huge. It's huge. I think that's maybe what made me most proud. However, the charities to AFSP is also huge, but the feeding people families who will be able to eat just because you retweet a tweet, it's even crazy, you know. And that's my favorite moment there, I guess.
Absolutely. Anyone that does not see the good that the movement has done and continues to do is not paying attention. How about you, Haruko?
This is this is gonna be a weird one when I first say it, but I'm gonna explain it. In 2018, back in July in San Diego Comic-Con, when everybody was expecting the announcement and we didn't get in, everybody was disappointed. I think that was a proud moment because really that could have been the end of it all, because, you know, it was like really everybody was down in the dumps. Everybody, you know, we thought we were down and out, but it's moments like that. And well, it's general because, you know, we had all the hit pieces that came out from the trades that were saying Warner Bros. Has no plans to release the cut. And every one of those moments that were supposed to take us out, like it just made us stronger. It reinvigorated us. It empowered us. So personally, I think that shows that, you know, the heart of the movement is the message that Zack Snyder sends with these stories. Like, you know, with Man of Steel, hope. Batman v Superman, also hope. As well as other themes. I'm not just saying they're just hope, but you know, you get the gist of what I'm saying. It's just these it's like every time they try to take us out, we just came back stronger. So personally, it's not like a single moment, but it is more like an amalgamation of moments, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And we had hope throughout this entire thing, and that's obviously what kept us united and kept us going. How about you, Gio?
I have a two-part answer. So personally, I have to be honest. Personally, like the most incredible thing that happened in this movement, and out of just sheer circumstance. So I was in New York City Comic-Con, ground crew, volunteered to do Friday, and it was amazing. I was going around doing, meeting everyone on the floor, walking around with the sign, and it was very intimidating at first because you walk in and like a Comic-Con obviously is not catered to just like DC fans. It's like anyone will be there. And, you know, one of the most popular things at the moment is like whatever MCU thing is going around. So you'll see a lot of like that. And you're just there was the first time that I in person was interacting with people and representing the release of Snyder Cut movement so like prominently. So definitely got like a few like, you know, looks and stuff like that, looking at the sign. And it was a little bit before, like, I think even like our positive take happened. Like, I feel like that happened closer to when, you know, we started trending and all that. So it was intimidating as fuck, but, I don't know if I can curse. You can cut that.
No, go for it.
Anyway, so it was, and then at the same time I'm walking in, and again, out of just sheer circumstance, I happen to be doing Friday. So the people that were running the Project Comic-Con, I know that they don't like to be mentioned, so I'm not going to say who they are, but the people that were running it, they're like, oh, by the way, this is the day that we're going to hand the t-shirt over to Rob Liefeld. And me, I'm a fan of comics, like huge fan of Rob Liefeld. And like, I'm just like, okay. They're like, we're going to need you to go hand it to him because you're the person that's there that day. Go find Liz Wonder over at the Vero booth. Had no idea where the Vero booth was. And like anyone that's ever been to like New York Comic Con, the Javits Center is this big thing that's like has 2 floors that are big floors, and you can go like find people, and it's like impossible to find any booth. So I'm looking through like where to find the stuff, and I can't find Vero anywhere. And it's because they put it all the way at the top floor that's not on any of the maps, because it's just like this extra space that they have for like people that are in like, you know, like sort of like a green room, but imagine like a huge space. It's like a green room and it's not like closed out. So it's sort of that space, and they did that because they were doing all the cosplay pictures, so it gave them a lot of space to take the pictures. So I had to find this thing, asking around, nobody knows where it is, and the meetup is supposed to be an hour into me getting into New York Comic Con. New York Comic Con is packed, so I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna get the t-shirt over to Rob. I'm already nervous as hell to meet Rob. Figured out how to find Liz. We ran over to her. I'm like, Liz, we got to get all the way across Javits Center in about 15 minutes. And we made it. We were 5 minutes late, and we get there and Rob's not there. And I was like, shit. Like, he totally is gone. He's like, oh, these Snyder Cut people, like, they're so unreliable, blah, blah, blah. And like, Liz is looking at me too, and she's being super nice. She's like, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh man. And then his booth was there. So I saw one of the guys, and I saw the guy that was standing behind, and I just like asked him, I'm like, hey, I have this t-shirt for Rob. And he's like, yeah, you know, cool. A lot of people have t-shirts for Rob. I'm like, I'm from the Snyder Cut movement. And he goes, you're from the Snyder Cut movement? Oh my God, he doesn't shut the fuck up about this. Like, he's just talking about this incessantly. These people are going to give him a t-shirt. You're that guy? And I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry, I missed Rob. He's like, no, Rob's late. Come back here at 1 o'clock. And like Rob doesn't know that we're late. Now he does if he's listening to this. But I met him. I got to talk to him about like the movement. Like, when I say, and I tried to like encapsulate this in tweets, but like you just can't. Like, he is so into this. Like, you don't understand how excited he is about the movement. He believes so much in what we're doing. He's all about creative freedom. And if you think about like him starting Image Comics with all those guys back then, like that is absolutely what it was. And he's in the same psyche. And he told me all this stuff, and he actually wrote us into a special comic that I have, because it's not printed. It's some special, like, you know, people now do comics on like Patreon and stuff like that, and GoFundMe, like they'll just do one-offs. And he wrote us into like, I hope that he printed more than this one, but he gave me this one because normally it doesn't say it, but it says release to Snyder Cut. And like all of that happening, I was just like, how like does this come together? So personally for me, there's a lot in there that definitely was just personal experiences for myself. That was the most incredible moment in the movement. And then my most memorable moment in the moment that we all got to share was just the first time that we got trending with Fiona and everyone just like leading that event. That was what turned me from, like, I didn't really use Twitter at that point. Like, I had it, but I just like didn't. The idea that these people organized this event for everyone to tweet at the same time. And back then, you remember, like, everyone was like, oh, it's 10 people that want the Snyder Cut. Like, to get trending, to get onto the page, to me was just incredible. So that's something that I'll always remember. And we've done it time and time again since then, but just that first one, there's nothing like it. So that to me is the most memorable moment.
I agree completely. And all of the connections that just ramped up throughout the years of like, oh, you're from this part of the world and we all like Zack Snyder and we all want the Snyder Cut, and all of that continuing was a personal memory for me, I think, throughout all of this. Just that snowball effect of meeting everyone and continuing that connection from everyone. That's mostly my Twitter now, is just all of you out there, really. And what is something that, let's highlight each of you on a personal achievement that you're personally proud of, something that maybe you helped contribute to. We'll kick it off with Haruko.
I'm just proud of all the friends I made along the way, all the connections I've made, all the people I met, just all, participating in all these events, meeting new people, which is what I just said, but you know what? I'm proud of it. So
yeah,
like I just hope I have these connections like way beyond when this Zack Snyder Justice League gets released. I guess that's it. I mean, it's a little underwhelming answer, and once again, it's sentimental and kind of cheesy, but it's all I got. So.
No, that's a great answer. That's absolutely what works. And I know, Gio, you briefly touched on this with the Liefeld story, but do you have another moment that you're personally proud of?
So not a moment, let's say, since I already said the moment, more so like tied into that story. Just like, so personally, I'm sort of more like, I like to say I have like two personalities. I have my very outgoing like personality at work that you just have to like have to get around in like the corporate world and stuff like that. And then like just as a person, I'm more like reserved. I'm not the sort of person that will like reach out to people out of the blue or like all this stuff. And I think this movement like really, really brought like, I guess, that other side of me into my personal life. Like I would have never thought that I would have been able to like walk around the Javits Center with a sign and just walk up to people and talk to them about the Snyder Cut for 2 minutes at a time. Like I would have never, ever thought that I would do that. And honestly, what drove me that day was just like, hey, like people around the movement are doing stuff all the time. Like this is just my one little contribution today that I'm going to do. And like people are doing things daily. Like imagine, like put yourself in like Fiona's shoes, that she has to like, she's this girl from China and she's like the face of this movement and like all the implications that come out of that. So I was just like, this is my one day. And like that coming, I guess, into my personal life, like that's with me forever. Like I'm a different person now than when I started my involvement here. So that to me it's changed me.
Very good. Yeah, I think it's changed all of us since then. And how about you, Paula? A personal proud moment of yours?
So I was thinking about the connecting with the Spanish branch of the movement, but really, I remember a moment. Some time ago, I ran into an article from the Film Exiles where they break down the design of the All the Gods T-shirt, and I read it's in English, of course, and I read and I thought this is incredible. I was blown. So and I thought, what a shame. Like Spanish-speaking people, non-English speakers, won't be able to access to all that information and the comparisons and the speculation. So I asked the guys in the Film Exiles for the permission, and they translated to Spanish, so I could share it with lots of people that I recently met. And I thought that was a proud moment for me. It was hard because it's a difficult text to translate, but that was my personal proud moment. Didn't have much. That was it.
No, that is awesome. Thank you so much for your hard work. And as someone of Mexican parents, I personally thank you as well for doing that, for all the Spanish speakers out there. Let's move into something a little bit more fun here as we go into which part of Zack Snyder's Justice League are you most excited to watch? Kicking it off with Gio.
To me, and I always say this, like, I want to see the actual scene of Clark and Lois seeing each other again after he's revived. You watch the film, you obviously did not see what was actually supposed to happen there. You can tell from all like the bad CGI. I think actually the notorious shot of his face is from that scene. So I want to see that actual scene. Like, I think their story of them coming together, because I think the way that Zach did Lois and Clark is very different from, I mean, a lot of the things that he did were very different, but the way that he did that relationship is very different. It was very honest. It was very like, he did it in these little moments. Like, I remember in BVS, the moment that you realize their connection is when he calls her Lo, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, they've been living together for like this period of time, and like they have nicknames for each other, and like he is able to squeeze that and weave that into this huge story that like that isn't necessarily a huge component of it. It becomes something at the end that you, at the end of the movie, you can understand when he says, "You are my world." Like, you get that, like that. There's no question about that. Like, that's not just a line that he writes. You're like, oh yeah, this has been culminating since the first movie. So I want to see where that continues. Like, I'm a sucker for a good love story. So I want to see like where that goes. So to me, that's the one.
Yeah, that'll be great to see the threads continue that started all the way back from Man of Steel and continue proper in Zack Snyder's Justice League. How about you, Paula?
So I have like two moments. I mean, I'm waiting. I need to see Darkseid. I just need to see him. So it's Darkseid. That's like the main the main aim of this. And then I also very much want to see Cyborg story. Yeah, since it was so butchered in the theatrical cut, and I felt I had never connected to that character till I saw Ray Fisher performance. I thought for a sort of robotic entity, it was so heartfelt, so moving, so human that I thought I was blown away. I really want to see all the story that there's to be told about him and his family and all the development of his character.
Yeah, absolutely. The heart of the movie, seeing him all proper. And you, Haruko?
The Flash, man. The Flash and his time travel. I mean, I'm a sucker for the Speed Force. I'm a sucker for good time travel, a good time travel story. And, the second I heard about that the Flash traveled through time and we get to explore more of the Speed Force and how the time, like the way he described the time travel at the Snyder screening event last year, I was just like, I've never heard time travel explained like that. Like, I've always thought of it as so basic, but like the whole rotation of the Earth thing, I was hooked from the start. And like, I just want to see Barry Allen running through time. I want to see the real, true Barry Allen, the scientist, the harbinger of the Speed Force, the greatest speedster of all time. Sorry, Jay Garrick. Sorry, Wally West. I like, really, that's just the part that like when I think about the Snyder Cut, I always think about Barry Allen running through the Speed Force, getting in tune with the physical and the metaphysical aspects of his speed and his time travel. And of course, in a whole nightmare world, I really want to know more about that. And they were like, "What the hell is going on there, man?" That nightmare world is you could make a movie out of that in itself, man. Of course, since it's like the Justice references, like, man, just that entire thing, the time travel, the nightmare, the future, everything to do with Barry Allen and Batman and Cyborg just doing cool shit in the apocalyptic world.
Great answer. That nightmare sequence. Cannot wait to see more of that. And also the history lesson, all proper, getting the full history lesson with Uxas. I think that's what I'm most excited to watch. But once this is all over, once the credits roll on Zack Snyder's Justice League as we're sitting there watching it in 2021, what do you want to see in the movement once that is finished, what else do you think we can accomplish with the Snyder Cut movement? Let's start off with Paula.
That's a tough question. I think. I think that the next step would be to allow Zack to finish his whole story, like the 5 parts of Superman story. We are not sure yet whether the Zack Snyder Justice League is the whole story or just a part. The Justice League was supposed to be like 3-part movie, so we don't know actually what's about to happen about that. So I think that maybe could be our next accomplishment. Then I really don't know. I'd like us to keep on with the charity work. But well, we need to ask for the higher cut now from Suicide Squad. That's the next big step, and allowing Zack to fulfill his vision to tell the complete story he meant to tell. Then we could get Ben Affleck back. Also, that would be nice.
That would be amazing, and hopefully Zack does something crazy with those with that funding as he finishes the movie.
Finger crossed.
Yeah. How about you, Haruko?
The selfish side of me wants Ben Affleck back. I'm God willing he'll be able to do it. God willing he's okay. I know it's not, the most realistic thing considering everything he's gone through. But the realist side of me, let's just, let's campaign more. Let's campaign for part 2, part 3, David Ayer's cut. Let's get Henry Cavill and Zack back together for another Superman movie. Like, let's bring Zack back definitively. Let's just have him continue to create amazing stories, whether they be in a connected DC universe or not, really. I mean, we know Zack does animated movies. We know he writes comics. Let's just get Zack back in the world of DC, because he introduced me to DC Comics. Like, I wasn't even a DC fan. Like, I used to watch Spider-Man, and that was about the extent of my comic book knowledge, just watching Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And then I watched Man of Steel, and, it drove me to write and create characters, create worlds. It drove me to read comics, get into the entire lore of DC Comics, of every character I could learn about. I watched literally every DC movie that was out in 2013. By the time of 2013, not released in 2013. I studied everything I could about DC. And when Batman v Superman was announced at Comic-Con, it was like, I already knew that was going to be the greatest movie I've ever watched when they just announced it. That's how much of how big I got from Man of Steel, how big of a fan I got of DC from Man of Steel. And without Zack, it's just like, I got to admit, it's just not the same. Like, it just killed my enthusiasm for the rest of DC, when I saw how they slighted him and how they treated him. And similarly, the situation with Ben Affleck and everything, it kind of killed my enthusiasm for DC. I want Zack back in DC Comics as a whole, in whatever capacity, whether that's Justice League Part 2 and 3, whether it's like an animated series, whatever it is, I just want Zack back.
100%. I think these 3 years are just the beginning of all of this as we continue to fight for Zack's full vision. And how about you, Gio?
I think, something that we said a lot when we were sort of like, I guess, going at in our first stages of telling people this is not just about one movie. This is not just about the Snyder Cut. Yes, release the Snyder Cut is our end goal and what brought us together, but it's become bigger. So sort of echoing what Paula said, there is no reason to stop doing all the good work that we're doing. We can keep doing these campaigns, and for the littlest things, we can sell t-shirts around the movement, whatever we can do, and then give half of those profits over, or just get together and do some campaigning for AFSP. That'll be awesome to do. And then we sort of now created this blueprint, and we had this question earlier, now there is a way, and we created sort of a path for making sure that Hollywood is putting out people's artistic vision. So I'm sure this is going to happen again. It happens all the time that, directors' movies are sort of taken away from them. And we're at a pivotal moment where like Hollywood is trying to figure out where they go. Netflix, for example, as a streaming service, they've been pretty good about like letting directors do what they want to do. And I think we're here now to like keep them honest, essentially. Like we want to have that happen over and over again. So I want to keep pushing whatever comes up. Hopefully by the time the Snyder Cut comes out, the Air Cut's also announced, and the Alita Army, they get their sequel. Like hopefully all that stuff happened, but if it hasn't, that's the next campaign, very obviously. And then, whatever happens from here to then, like there's other movies to fight for. So that's what I hope the movement goes on to. Like I think that we have a wealth of information to give fans across the world. Like even MCU fans, like if this happens to them, like I know they're happy with their films, but if this happens to them and they're like, shit, I wanted to have, Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, for example, like I would have loved to see that movie. That wasn't filmed, but like I would have loved to see that. Imagine if something like this movement existed when that happened back then. Like that would have been amazing. So that's where I think this movement should go.
Yeah, and ways to help tons of people still out there. And I know all of us have been positively affected by many members of the movement, and we each have sort of our personal highlights and thank yous to those that are out there. So we compiled some shout outs to those of you who may be watching, and our thank yous. Let's start it off with Haruko.
I just want to give a shout out to Fiona. When I first came into this movement, I was kind of lost, but, just hearing about what she had to say, following her tweets, interacting with her, it kind of put into perspective of me just how big this whole thing was, just the ferocity of the situation, and how different the whole Justice League movie was. So really that when I read Fiona's tweets, it kind of like lit a fire inside of me, because, I was still a Zack Snyder fan and all that. And, excuse me for a moment. Hold on a second.
Yeah, no worries. We'll move it on over to Gio, and then we'll eventually come back to Haruko. Who do you want to thank and give a shout out to in the movement?
No worries. Yeah, so definitely Fiona, first and foremost. Like she taught me like what courage is. I like a very old age, but she taught me what courage is. So I have so much to thank for her. I want to thank thank all the New York Comic Con crew. They know who they are. Like they got me through that event, and a lot of, there was a lot of like talking to each other and like helping to like get through that. I want to thank a lot of like the people that I've seen tweeting all the time. Like they know who they are. Like I feel bad like singling anyone out just because it's like you're gonna forget people eventually. So anyone that I've interacted with in the movement at any point in time, like I want to thank them. And then I also want to thank, I want to thank the Watchmen. They know who they are. So those are my shout outs. Pretty much everyone. I just want to thank you guys. Like I said at the beginning of this, like you guys did a lot of, everyone did so much to get to where we are. Like every single little piece mattered. And if they weren't there, I don't believe that we would be where we are today. Like I'm a true believer in like everything happens for a reason. And I think that they all left us to where we are today. So thank you.
There you go. Haruko, did you want to finish up your shout outs?
Yes. As I was saying, Fiona, she's the heart of the movement. She really is the movement. She is what got us all started. She is what launched us to the platforms that we are today. She is the source, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I don't even think I would be in this fight if it wasn't for her, because I mean, I was just, if I didn't get the insight I got from her, I would assume that, man, Justice League, I would assume like that, that we just go on with the DCEU. And, once I heard about that, it's what, like I said, it's what diminished my hype for the rest of the DC films. But in the process of diminishing my hype for the future DC films, it gave me the fire to fight for the Snyder Cut. So, really, Fiona, heart and soul of the movement, bar none. If anybody wants to debate that, I will. But I also want to give a big thanks to some of my friends I made in the movement, like Mercury, Salazar, Bonaldo, Bakshar. He knows. I can't pronounce his name correctly, but he knows who I'm talking about. My friend Mark Media, my friend Marty, all my friends that I've made, just like Gio said, basically all the friends I've made in the movement, I'm trying to get all my guys in there, but names are hard for me to remember sometimes. So yes, just thank you everybody. What a journey. Like they said before, let's just keep campaigning. Let's keep going at it. Let's fight for more. Let's just shoot. We can do anything now. We can do anything. So let's just do it. Just do it.
That's right. And I do want to say that when the door knocked, I was going to be like, I thought you were going to be like, hold on, I got Zack Snyder right here. This guy. All right. And over to Paula. Who do you want to give a shout out and a thank you to?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to the DC dudes. It's my Telegram group chat. They are all DC comic fans. And I'm sort of the ambassador of the Snyder Cut. So I always had the news, how the movement was developing, when they had to tweet or retweet anything. So, and they are great guys. So I care for them a lot. And also to Fox Álvaro from La Hoguera de Gotham, which is a Spanish podcast also. They are from Spain. My Telegram group is from Argentina. And they also gave me a space to express and speak about something that I love, that is this movement. And last shout out is to Gio. Had a really, really rough time a few weeks ago. Really, really tough due to inside things. And I was ready to quit and to leave and never look back. And he just took me out. I was in a well, in a dark well. And he just, with just few kind words, made the whole difference. So those little moments, those little attitudes can make a huge difference. There's something, sadly, I think we sometimes, within the fight, the movement, we forget to be just kind to each other. It's like the main lesson we should learn and keep.
That's incredible.
Thank you, Paula.
Yeah, how do you feel, Gio?
She's going to make me cry.
Good man.
She's going to make me cry. No, Paula, thank you. No, honestly, I think that, like, to give people the ability to connect with each other at that level. So I thank you, to be able to to DM you and all that stuff. So it was nothing. You're such a strong member of this movement. Like, everything you've done is so important. So I was speaking from the heart. It was, so I don't know. You got me speechless. I was already speechless.
You're sentimental too.
I was already speechless this morning, Paula. Not enough bourbon.
I've got
Thank you.
I've got a couple of shout outs of my own. The Film Exiles have been amazing all these years. Manu at Man United 0710 and Millennial Mike. Yeah, Millennial Mike.
Millennial Mike. Good man.
At Velcro 16, they actually helped me make this possible, this Zoom call, and even getting here throughout these years, maintaining contact during the rough times as well. And then they did a test call before we did this recording to make sure that everything was going solid and smooth. And they're amazing. And the Film Exiles are incredible. Also, the Brocat Core, who have been there to support my podcast, The Reasons I'm Broke, since 2012. Every single one of those members, every single week, they've been there for everything. My life has changed throughout, almost this decade now. And the full Release the Snyder Cut movement, again, we just cannot say thank you enough or highlight them enough throughout all of this, and it won't stop. I think this is all going to continue as we continue forward into the future of not just Zack Snyder's potential universe, but into the future of film, since we are all movie lovers. We're into this stuff and we love it. So those are my thank yous to everyone out there. And before we wrap up with the outros on where everyone can find each of you, are there any burning desires, any last minute thing that you want to touch on before we wrap up? Everyone good?
Yeah.
I think they did tons of thank yous. Perfect. All right, outro. Social media links. Where can everyone find you? Start off with Gio.
So mine's a little bit hard. I'm at B_I_NGIO. It's like the song BINGO. Not like the yeah. But that's my Twitter handle. Feel free to tweet me. Feel free to hit me up at any point. Like I'm fully open. And actually, you know what? Like building up to this moment yesterday after talking to Sean, as things go by, people like you'll meet people and you'll block people. I actually went in yesterday and I got rid of all of it. So anyone can hit me up, and hopefully you guys keep it civil. But I still have the button, but this is a blank slate. So you can reach me there. That's also like my Instagram if you want to hit me there. I do like photography and stuff like that. So if you want to support that, feel free for it. And then from time to time, I am on Go Deep podcast with my boy Peely over there. So listen to that. Like his podcast is awesome. Thank you so much. Like he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime yesterday to interview Sean, which I am a big fan of. You should check out his podcast too. Real Blind. Like those guys they love film, and like their take on film is like, it's refreshing to have people that are talking about film and not like shitting on anything. They absolutely just talk about all the things that they love about film. Like it is an incredible podcast to listen to. And the three guys that host it have a wealth of knowledge. Like they've been in the industry forever. So those are the things that I'm going to push out. Like I don't personally do anything. Check out everybody else's podcast. You got a podcast too, right? What's your podcast?
I'll do mine at the very end.
Okay. All right.
Social media links for where can you be reached?
Me? You call
Paula,
me?
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And yes, I'll give the Spanish account because my personal account is quite like too messy. So it's RTSC _ HISPANO, which is RTSC _ Hispano, which is the Spanish account. If you want my personal, you DM me there and I'll send you my contact.
Perfect. And Haruko, where can they find you?
My Twitter is my name on here, which is Haruko Totomi. Just squish them together. I post about basically everything except politics now because and Instagram, the same as my Twitter, but with an extra I at the end. So make sure you get that, the extra I. I post about my writing there really, and some personal venting, but mostly my writing and the characters and the worlds that I create. And my bureau is Haruko Hatomo. So it's not an I, but an O at the end, and they're squished together. And I also have a podcast. It's called The Proper Podcast. Episode 1 is on my Twitter. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll find it. But the YouTube channel is called The Proper Animals. It shouldn't be hard to find. I searched it up myself because I don't know why I did that, but I just wanted to see if I was easy to find. And it was easy to find. So it's called The Proper Podcast. Really, that's about it as it goes for me on social media.
Very good. And then for mine, pretty simple, just thereasonsimbroke.com. It'll have a link on everywhere you can find us. We do a weekly podcast covering a lot of DC comics, but movies, video games as well on everyone's favorite podcatcher. But that's you'll find a link everywhere on there. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, I will have links on where you can find all of today's guests in the show notes below. So I want to give you all a huge thanks for coming forward and being a part of this third and the first one after the huge announcement that is we're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League for the round table. So huge thanks to all three of you for joining everyone into the celebration of the movement.
Thank you for having us.
Can I have one more shout out that I forgot?
Yeah, go for it.
I want to give a shout out, and this is an anonymous shout out, but I want to give a shout out to anybody that has ever been an admin on the RT Snyder Cut account.
Yes.
Like, you guys absolutely deserve so much fucking credit. Like, like imagine running your own Twitter and another Twitter that's 24/7. Like, I remember interacting with that account at any time of the day, like, and they'll like, hit you up directly. They'll retweet your stuff. Like, I just like, I have an incredible amount of respect for anyone that ever dedicated their time for that. And I know, like, you know, I'm forgetting absolutely everything that happened in the past. Like, today's a new day, but I just want to say shout out to you guys. Like, I just thank you for your dedication to this movement. Like, it has been absolutely imperative. And, you know, these are people that will never get credit for anything, and they don't want it. And I just want to let them know that we are thankful for it.
Yeah, hopefully one day they can, if they'd like, come forward and we can do like a proper, you know, thank you and interview even throughout all of the different social media ones. Just the other night, they were being incredibly kind and shared some really kind words through DMs. And I was even like, is my mom an admin? Like, they're really nice. Like, I'm gonna go ask her. But yeah, I think that is everything, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching and for tuning in. And don't forget, there's more roundtable discussions coming your way. So make sure to subscribe to the Release the Snyder Cut YouTube right here. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.